Hello and welcome again to another edition of InfusionNow, a ministry of Infusion Ministries. My name is Kurt Crochelle. I'm one of the vice presidents of Infusion Ministries. Joining me today is the other vice president of Infusion Ministries, Mark Keys. Mark, we began a pretty interesting discussion last week about the nature of the battle that we're facing and knowing the enemies that you face. And you know, we got to two of the three prime enemies that we face. Now, I'm a child of the 70s, so I've got this old Meatloaf song going through my head. 2 out of 3 ain't bad. But in this case, only 2 out of 3 is really bad.
Yeah.
So get us up to speed on what are the 2 of the 3 that we already covered, 2 of the 3 enemies that we face, and then get into what that third enemy is.
Yeah. Last week we talked about just we have a perfect storm that we deal with, and the first one we got into was the world. The world comes at us with its influences. The world system. There's a system like a treadmill. You get on that treadmill, and what does a treadmill do? A treadmill, you just get on it and you go, right? And the only way to get off
of it, you don't get anywhere.
well, and it's the conveyor belt. It just kind of goes, and you just kind of get on that conveyor belt and you just kind of go with it. Hey, you want to do that? Okay. Oh, I like this, and you just is it okay? You just kind of go with the flow. And there's a world system that we kind of, as Christians, we kind of lock into. And we don't think that it is not necessarily evil or bad. That's the subtlety of it. But it really transforms and conforms us into its thinking.
Yeah.
And we realize, wait a minute, is that how the Lord thinks? Why have I been thinking this way? Because the world, because we've learned for years, we've been conformed to the image of the world to get our needs met. That's huge, to get your needs met. And we don't think about needs, but we're so needy. And we're going to do anything.
And we have legitimate needs, right,
Mark? We have
legitimate needs to be accepted, right? To be secure, to be significant. These are not, it would be nice to have. You need these things,
need those
but
things.
Where are you seeking them?
And so we're programmed to get them met through the world. And the world lies to us. It won't hold water. It doesn't last.
Right.
It lies to us. So the world comes at us, heavily comes at us and attacking us. The other area is the flesh. And we really broke that down. We talked about when you're born again, you have a new nature. But you have those old habits, those old things that are still there.
Old flesh patterns.
Those old flesh patterns. We call them strongholds. And people say, I have a stronghold? Yes, you do.
If you're a part of the human race, you do.
Yes, but people don't. I never really thought about that when I was younger. Oh, that's just only people that are in drugs or alcohol or really evil, wicked things. No. Everybody has a strongholds in their life. Yes, and so we spend the rest of our days here on planet Earth working those things out as we follow Christ.
Right. Remember, a stronghold is that thought that sets itself up against the knowledge of God. So it takes many forms. It comes to us through the world. It's, again, the world that humanity in opposition to God and lies fuel it.
Right. And strongholds are things that have been burned into you, either through one experience or many experiences, but it's a continual habit of wrong thinking or wrong habits or choices in your life, and it's been burned into you, you see. And so the flesh then does that when you focus on the flesh. And I even mentioned Galatians 5. Paul really gets into this, the battle of the flesh and the spirit. What are they always doing? They're knocking heads.
Right.
There's always, every day we wake up with the flesh. Am I going to go after God today, or am I going to please my flesh today? Am I going to choose to read my Bible today, or am I going to choose to be lazy today, or get involved in sinful habits today? Sinful things.
Will I manifest the patterns of the world or the fruit of the Spirit?
Whose choice is that? It's our choice. We have to decide what to do there, right? And so we talked about that we have to put to death those things, and I like the word lurking within you, right? It's kind of like the shark. I'm out there swimming. Is what's lurking below me here, right? Well, that's our flesh, right? And I don't know what it's going to do today, but it's not that we're flesh-centered. Like, I've got to be worried about that. We want to be Christ-centered,
right?
Always looking at Christ, right? because that's where our faith is developed, right?
Right.
So the world, the flesh.
But there's a third thing that's really kind of energizing both of them, right?
Oh my goodness! It's the devil.
The devil.
The devil.
What?
Yeah.
What? No, the devil here in the 21st century? What? This is so passé, Mark.
Well, we could spend hours, Kurt, talking about this, but we really see in Genesis 3, if you really want to, and I tell students this all the time, I says, if you want to learn everything about life, go to Genesis 3. Any kind of topic, you lay it on the table, you find it in Genesis 3. Mm-hmm. And we understand that there's someone evil that's very crafty and trickery. And we see that he's very different from anyone or anything else in the garden, right? And he comes and he talks to Eve, right? So the devil comes and he's telling Eve that if you eat of this fruit, you will be like God. You will know good and evil.
Right, God's holding out on you. There's
right.
more.
There's more. There's always more, right?
He's not really that good. He's keeping things from you.
And what I've learned in the Christian community is that you can't take for granted that everybody has an understanding of who the devil is. Mm-hmm. Even though it's in every book of the Bible, there's an influence of the enemy. He's doing something to really keep people away from God, trying to destroy the things of God. Because the devil is everything that is anti-God. He wants to steal, kill, and destroy. He wants to another huge verse, John 10:10, steal, kill, and destroy. But he also, that we wrestle not against flesh and blood, Ephesians 6:12. That there's a spiritual battle that we deal with. And people that I meet with one-on-one, Kurt, they don't want to acknowledge that is the enemy involved here? Is the enemy doing something here? He's always doing something. There's never a checkout. There's never a getting out of the game and resting on the bench, right?
Right.
You're in the game in the intensity of the world, the flesh, and the devil is always there. Now, that's not to be devil-centered. That's not to be, okay, what is he doing today? His activity is to steal, kill, and destroy. But we need to be aware, we need to have that understanding of what the enemy's doing.
And resist.
And resist.
And an ongoing, not just a one-time.
Exactly.
And he licks his wounds and just goes away and gives up. I like to say he's not creative. He's just very persistent.
He is persistent. And, I've always, whenever you're reading the Bible, you always want to look at lists. I think, Paul gives a lot of lists about things, the fruit of the Spirit, the things of the flesh. But there's a list here in John 10:10, the thief comes to steal, kill, and destroy. You wonder about those words.
Yeah.
Steal, kill,
I get that.
And destroy.
Kill and destroy kind of confuses me sometimes. Like, how do you destroy something that's already been killed?
But that's what the enemy does. It makes sense to say that the thief comes to steal. Well, I get that. Yeah. But he gives 3 words here. Jesus gives 3 words. He talks about him coming to give abundant life, life and life abundantly. We like that.
Right.
But then the thief, he's talking about Satan here, the devil, as our accuser, comes in and steals, kills, and destroys. The best way to illustrate this is with a movie. Okay. Of course. And a movie.
There's a spiritual. You're always looking for spiritual lessons in the movie. Your boys ask that of you, right?
Yeah. Dad, I've warped their minds. Every movie out there has a spiritual illustration. Of course it does, right?
Yeah.
And the movie Black Hawk Down, a historical event that took place, I believe, back in '93. I remember I was at seminary. And I heard it's about took place in Mogadishu, Africa. Mogadishu, Africa.
Yeah.
And it was where a group of Army Rangers went in, and a Black Hawk was shot down. Mm-hmm. And that's kind of where they made a movie of that.
Right.
And it was a horrific event. A chopper was shot down. But what happened after the helicopter went down was even more interesting, which really gets a description of the enemy. Is that the people there went in and they ravaged and they pillaged the helicopter. They ripped everything out of it.
So they stole.
They stole.
Okay.
Then whatever servicemen were there alive, they killed them.
Okay.
And to be very honest, they dismembered.
That's the destroy, right,
That's
Mark?
they not only
they're
killed,
already dead,
but they dismembered their bodies and paraded them down the street. This actually happened.
Yeah.
And that is a picture of the enemy. He doesn't just want to give us a bad day. He doesn't just want to embarrass us. He wants to steal, kill, and destroy. He wants to take things out of us, expose us, ravage and pillage our lives. And when we think, there can't be anything else, yes, there is.
Yeah. This This reminds me that he's a sore loser. To use an example, I was in football back in middle school, and we went and traveled and played a school a couple hours away, and they were overmatched. We had a much better team than they did, and it was clear by about halftime that we were just going to run away with the game. Come the second half, you can't believe the level of cheap shotting that's taking place. I mean, every play there's an elbow, there's something going on, and it got so bad that it resulted in one of our teammates sustaining a broken leg.
Oh my!
Due to a cheap shot.
Yeah.
And that, I think, is what the enemy is like.
Right.
If he can't have, especially for believers, if he can't have your soul, he will take everything else that he can from you, because he's angry and he's defeated, and he's just going to come at you with everything that he's got.
It's the steal, kill, and destroy, and that's one thing we need to remember about the devil, is that's what he wants to do. And that movie, Black Hawk Down, is just an example of how that is how the enemy works. Is that he wants to just take everything out of us, and like you just said, being a sore loser, continually coming at us. Now, as Christians, we don't need to be so devil-centered. What is the enemy doing today?
Yeah.
Because I want to be concerned about the Lord's doing.
Right.
I want to be concerned about what is Jesus, who is greater. He's in me. Greater is he was in me than he was in the world. Right. Satan's defeated. Right. He's powerful. He's real. He's influencing, using the world and the flesh.
Yeah.
Right? And boy, does he use the world and the flesh.
So, Mark, would you say that really he kind of wins either way if we ignore his existence and the existence of the demonic? But then on the other hand, if we have an unhealthy obsession with the demonic.
Right.
Either way, what's happening, he is drawing the attention that rightfully belongs to God. So wherever you're at, ask the Holy Spirit to reveal to you, have you been making light of the things of the evil demonic realm? Like that's something for yesterday. That was true in Jesus' day. Maybe you believe it mentally, but you don't really believe it. Would you say there's a lot of believers that fall into that camp?
Absolutely.
Right. But then on the other hand, I knew a young woman in the Olympia, Washington area where I was pastoring for a number of years that was so obsessed with the demonic that somehow she claimed to prophetically be able to talk about different classifications of demons, and I do, and I love this woman. I love this woman. She's a wonderful woman of God, but there was an unhealthy obsession with the demonic. We're like, why are you spending all this
studying
time?
All that? Yeah.
Right. So. Anyway, continue.
Yeah,
we have just a couple more minutes, so if you want to wrap up what we're talking about today.
Real quick, you see here also, along with the world of flesh and the devil, you have two clouds. You have self-talk. I think self-talk, negative self-talk, is a big deal. Mm-hmm. I encounter people, and I think all of us deal with running ourselves down. We set negative self-talk, and that could be, Kurt, things that are spoken over us, things that were said about us, a teacher, a
things
parent,
that we say to ourselves too.
Say to ourselves, old memories, things that just negatively we run ourselves down. Like, I can't do something, I'll never be able to accomplish this. So it's just a self-talk of running ourselves down. That comes against us. The other thing over here, which is huge, we could do a whole thing in this, is negative experiences. You know, how many of you out there are dealing with negative things in your life, an experience that has been fixated, a traumatic experience, something that happened to you that was not your choice, not your doing, but it's a negative event in your life, and it's just stapled to your mind, and that really forms your identity. You can't seem to be free of it. You're always thinking about it, whether it's a rejection or an abuse or something in your life. It's an experience, an event in your life that is just surrounding you and over you, like that cloud that you see right there. It's that cloud that is over me, and I can't seem to deal with it.
Right. So Jesus Christ is the staple remover.
Absolutely.
I wish I could show it to you today, but Mark has a little staple remover in his office.
Yeah.
And what is it? Did it say something like removing staple?
The bondage breaker.
The bondage breaker. Like Jesus is the staple remover. He removes you from those experiences.
Right.
He absolutely overcomes the impact of the world, the flesh, and the devil, the self-talk, the negative experiences, and he is truly the bondage breaker. He is the one. Remember, even in our ministry, the tools that we have never work.
Right.
Jesus does the work, but he uses good tools. Right. And so with that, we'll kind of bring it in for landing today.
Yeah.
Mark, this has been really exciting to hear from your heart, and I've just been so blessed to hear you share this material with a number of people, either in a large context or I think where you really shine too is in that counseling context and letting people understand the nature of the battle that they face, a battle that, by the way, we've already won. We just need to learn how to claim our victory. So with that in mind, I just want to leave you with a blessing. The Lord bless you and keep you, make his face to shine upon you, and give you peace.